which is given to you. The question given to you in the form of maximization. Write down over here, we are using a simplex method. It's a little lengthy, don't worry at all, right? What we given to us is the maximizing z value, that is 5x1 plus 3x2. And with the some constraints is also given to you. First constraint is 3x1 plus 5x2 is less than equals to 15. And second constraint is 5x1 plus 2x2 is less than equals to 10. And the last constraint, that's a non-negative constraint, that's x1 and x2 is greater than equals to 0. When we're doing about the simplex method, there is some constraint and the one word is used as a slack value. As we include this word as a slack value, since it is given as less than value, that means something is there inside it. So we take it a constraint value as a slack value, or if it is greater than, then we will consider it as a surplus value, right? So start doing the numerical question. For that, what we have to do, we have to convert this equation first with the different equation. Like what we write it over here, maximize the z value is equals to 5x1 plus 3x2, right? And the first constraint, we convert the less than value into an equal value so that we easily solve that. So 5x2, now I included one slack value, and the value of the slack value, it always remember you have to take in a like value as an x. Well, if it is given x1, x2, so we included over here as a 3 slack value. Something is there now, then only we have to make it as 50, right? Considering with the second one is 5x1 plus 2x2. Now 3 is already given in the one in the equation number 1, so we write it as 0x3 over here. There is nothing, that 1 is there. Now we have included a one more slack value, that is an x4. If I am taking the slack value x4 in this, definitely the 0 slack value will be in this. Right, just to make it an equalization, so I have written it in this way. Otherwise, it is not at all compulsory to write in this. Now the what next point is again the same constraint. The last constraint always remains the same. X1 and x2 is always being equals to 0. Right. Now we have make one chart over here and putting that values in the chart. How the value is done up in this chart. Just write if one word is there, a basic feasible solution, basic feasible value. So cost for the basic price over here. We write it over this. We write the XB, that is the basic variable, what the basic elements we have to take up. And one B element will be there. I will explain you each and everything what this value is. X1, X2, your variable, X3 and X4. Right? So putting all these value, how we put up this value? Something is there means x1 and x4, we have to find that x1 and x4. So write it over here, the value over here from this, that is 3, 5. Just changing the color so that makes it more attractive for you. This will be 3, 5, considering as 1 and 0. And this is as 5, right? 2, 0 and 1, right? Now we consider it over here as B value, that is the your constraints. What is the maximum constraint is 15 and 10. So this is the value of B, that is Cj. We used to say the word as Cj also. And if I am talking about the Cj will be the cost or the profit constraint over here. We write it in this way. That's 5, 3. Definitely we are not considering x3 and x4 as a variable. So the value for that will be taken as a 0 only, right? Now I'm considering over here is a cost of basic variable, as we are not knowing the cost, so we considering as a 0, 0 for right now, as we have to find this value, and the slack value for this is x3 and x4, right? Now putting all these values properly, and we have to find out. Now the first step we have to find in this scenario is we write it over as zz, right? How we calculate this ZZ? ZZ value is calculated with the help of a basic formula, that this value multiplied by this plus this value multiplied by this. I'm writing over here with you only 0 plus 3 plus 0 multiplied by 5. Right. Same with the CB multiplied with x2. That means 0 multiplied by 5 plus this 0 multiplied by 2. Right. In the next one, same scenario, 0 multiplied by 0 multiplied by 1 plus 0 multiplied by 0. In the next one, 0 multiplied by 0 plus 0 multiplied by 1. So what we calculate with the help of this ZZ, what is the value of ZZ over here is 0 Right, in this case 0, that will be again 0, 0, 0. And what is the Cj? We have already written up Cj is 5, 3, 0 and 0. Now subtract Zj minus Cj, that is 0 minus 5, that is minus 5, minus 3 and 0 and 0. Right, from this we have to select the value having the least value. So the least one is over here is minus 5. So we select the minus 5. That means this x1 value is being replaced up, but with whom? With x3 or x4? We have to find this value, right? How we can find this value of that x1 is being replaced? For this, what we have to do, we have to remember. And remember one more thing, that when we are doing this arrow, this will be called as my entry point. In some book, it is given as Cj minus Zj. Don't worry with that. You can write it if it is Cj minus Zj, then you have to find out the most positive value, right? And this we have selected the least negative value, highest negative value. Okay. Now coming up for selecting like which one is to be replaced of, we select, we find out the minimum ratio over here, and finding out the minimum ratio, that this is the entry point of this. So we find it the minimum ratio, this value divided by this. So write it over here, 15 divided by 3, that will be 5. 10 divided by 5, so write it over here as 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now we have to select the minimum, as we said minimum, so we select the minimum value is 2. That indicates yes, x1 will come up, but it will be replaced with x4. Right, with x1 it will be like x4 over here. With x4 now we write it with the x1, and with 0 value it will be your this value, that is 5 over here. Right, now we have to make a new matrix, but remember we have to change this value. Now this x4 being replaced up, and the point where this like the point where two point is intersecting, like this is my entry point and this is my minimum ratio point. So this 5 value considering but together, this will be called as my key element. That is my key element over here. Right, now again I have to make a matrix, same matrix, but after considering all the adjustments. To start doing the adjustment, again prepare the same table with having the same heading like CB, that is the cost of variable. Then we have given the values that we have taken up, cost basic variables. B value, that is cost. Then we have x1, x2, x3, x4. And yes, we have to find out the minimum ratio also at the end, right? Now we have replaced this value 0 over here, from 5 we have replaced it, so write it over as 5 1. Like x3 is there, but from x4 we have to write x1, right? We have changed the value, right? What we have to find out now, we have to check it over here how we have done up, just replacing the value from this value x3, x4 we have replaced up, so we write it over here, and with the 5 which we are getting this over there, now we have replaced with it. Right, now what we have to do, this is my 5 is a key element, divide all these points with this key elements. This is a step you have to remember. Divide all the points with the key elements. So 10 divided by 5, that will be 2. 5 divided by 5, I can write it over here so that you more remember to do. So what we have to done, what we have done over here, divide by the key element. 10 divided by 5, that will be 2. 5 divided by 5, that will be 1. Right, 2 divided by 5, 2 upon 5. Just have to divide all the values with the key elements, 0 and 1. So 0 divided by 5 will be 0, and 1 divided by 5 will be 1 upon 5. So this is the way we have done the next variable. Now what we have to do the next, we have to find our new lines. How we find it the new lines, just write it over here. Old old value, that is the old line, right? Whatever the old line value is, multiply by 3 multiplied by new line. Exactly what we have to do in this case, we have to make it, remember when the value of x we have replaced up. So 1 over here, definitely I want 0 at running cost over there. So how this 0 will come up? So just write down the old line. What is the old line over here? Just check it properly, old line. All the old value, this is the old value, 153510. So write it over here, 1535 old line. This is your working note basically, or in the side scenario we can do up 15 3 5 1 0. and all the new lines which we have just calculated dividing the key element multiply by 3. 3 multiplied by your key element, that's the 2, right? 3 multiplied by 1, 3 multiplied by 2 upon 5, 3 multiplied by 0, and 3 multiplied by 1 upon 5. So considering this and calculate the value for 15 minus 6, the value will become up. You just have to write down all the figures properly and then finding all these figures, putting in this equation, right? So it will be 9, right? Putting over here is 9, 3, 1, 1, 3 minus 3, that will be 0. That 5 minus 3 is 6, 6 upon 5. Just calculate the value, that will be 19 upon 5. So write it over here. 3 multiplied by 0 will be 0, 1 minus 0, that will be 1. 0 minus 3 upon 5, so that will be minus 3 upon 5. Putting this value over here, that's 0, 9, 19 upon 5, then 1, and the last is minus 3 upon 5, right? Then again the same scenario, that's your CJ, that is 5, 3, 0, 0, right? And the last what we have to find out, ZJ first of all, how we find the ZJ? This value multiplied by this, and then 5 multiplied by this value, and the plus all this value. So 0 multiplied 0 will be 0, 5 multiplied by this will be 5. Now 0 multiplied by this value, that will be 0, and 5 multiplied by 2 by 5 will be 2, right? In this way, you have to calculate all the ZZ value. 0 multiplied by 1 will be 1. 5 plus 0 multiplied by 0 will be 0. So last point will be 1. Now 0 multiplied by this value will be 0 and 5 multiplied by 1 upon 5, that is 5 upon 5 will be 1. So this way we find out the ZZ. Now we have to find out CJ, that is from the up. We just have to write it over here. The same process going on. What we have to do now, we have to find out ZZ minus CJ minus it, 5 minus 5, that will be 0, 0 minus 3 will be minus 1, 1 minus 0 will be 1, 1 minus 0 will be 1, right? The least one as ZJ minus CJ is given, so we find out the least one. Least one over here is this, so this is my entry point, right? This is my entry point, and that means we have to enter with the x3, but with whom? Either with x3 or with x1, we have to find out the minimum ratio. So minimum ratio will be 9 divided by 19 upon 5. That will be 45 upon 9. And the next one is 2 divided by 2 upon 5. That will be 10 upon 2. That will be 5. So taking the minimum value from this is definitely, what is the minimum value of this is 45 divided by 9. Right, this will be 45 divided by 19. Sorry, that's not 9, it's 19. So that will be a minimum value. So this is my like the minimum point which we have selected. So the point of the key element over here is the find the entry point and the minimum point. So the key element over here is 19 upon 5. Right, you have to divide this by the 19 upon 5 as well as we find the new lines area also. So again we have to make the table. Don't worry, yes, the table is done up, but the point is repeating again and again the same. CB, that is XB against small b, right? Now your CB will be replaced up, so that will be from the replaced with the x2 over here, right? X2, and now it is over x1, and that value is already been 5. Now it will be 3. B value which we have just find out. After B value, we have to find putting the value of x1, x2, x3, x4 over here, and the last we have to find the minimum ratio, but not so required in this case now, as we have already find out. So what we have to do, divide with the minimum key, the key element, that is 19 upon 5. So we just have to divide all the values with the key element. What is the key element? To check it once again. The key element is 19 upon 5. So 9 divided by 19 upon 5, that will be 5 will be outside. So 45 upon 19 will be there. So write the values over there. That will be 45. That value will be 45 divided by 19, right? In the next scenario also, divide all the value with the key element. 0 divided by your 19 upon 5, that will be upper way, that will be 0, right? Something 0 divided by something will be cross multiply, will be 0 only. Again the key element is there, we divide it, then it will be reverse and it will be 1. Then 5, the remaining value will be 9 upon 15, and in the last case it will become up 3 upon 19. right? So this is the way we find out the elements of the first row by dividing it with the key element. Now with the example, now the working note for the next line, what we have to do same way, like old line minus. Now what we have to minus, as we have to get the value of over here is we have to make it 1 over here, so definitely we have to make this value as a 0. So 2 upon 5 have to make it 0, so multiply by the 2 by upon 5. So 2 by 5 multiply by your new line. Simple way is this, that as we have to make it 0, so we are doing in this way. So for my old line, that is the upper one. Check the old line is, which one is our old line over here is 2, 1, 2 upon 5, 0 and 1 upon 5. So write it over here. 2, this will be 2, right? 1, 2 upon 5, 0 and 1 upon 5, that is my old line, minus 2 upon 5 multiply by here this value, that is 45 upon 19, right? And the one, this one is when we have to do this value, so how we write it? 2 upon 5 multiply by this 0, right? Minus 2 upon 5 multiply by this one value 1, minus 2 upon 5 multiply by 5 upon 19, then minus 2 upon 5 multiply by minus 3 upon 19. So solve all these values. When we solve up all this value, what we get it? We get the value as 20 upon 19 over here. This is 0, 1 minus 0, that will be 1, which we want to have it, right? 2 upon 5 minus 2 upon 5, that will be 0, minus, right, 0 minus 2 upon 15 or 5, that will be 2 upon 19, minus 2 upon 19, yes. And definitely over here, multiply and divide this value, and we will find the value as 3 upon, find the value as 5 upon, solve the figure, and it will be 5 upon 19. So putting all these values over here, that will be 20 upon 19, right? 1, 0, which we want it as in a 0, 1, 1, 0. And the last one is a minus 2 upon 19, second last, and the last one is a 5 upon 19. Right? Now again, the ZZ value first of all, this value multiply by 0 plus 5 multiply by 1. Right? So what we get it, 3 multiply 0 is 0, 5 plus 1 that is 5. So write it over here as ZZ. And the last 3 multiply by 1, 3. So write it over 3. 3 multiply by 5 upon 19 plus 5 multiplied by 2 upon 19. You have to remember the situations are same in all the cases, that this value CB value you have to multiply with the x1. So this value, that is 3 multiplied by 0 plus 5 multiplied by 1. You have to add all these values. So after doing this, what you get is CJ minus ZJ. Again, yes, you have to do that value also. ZJ minus CJ. As we have find out the CJ value is always remains the same, but is 5300. Directly also you can do a the ZJ minus CJ directly we can find out the answer. Yes, you can find out. So the last we find it, that's 5 minus 5, 3 minus 3, that will be 0, and the last when we find out, that will be 5 upon 19 and 16 upon 19. So what we find out, since the value of CJ ZZ minus CZ is greater than equals to 0. That is the main thing, as we find out. Yes, it is greater than 0. So my basic values which we have find out for the value of B, that is 45 upon 19 for the x2, and for x1 is 20 upon 19. So x1 is equals to 20 upon 19 and x2 is equals to 45 upon 19. That will be the best answer for the simplex method, and we can check this method by putting all these values in Z. That is the maximum. Z is equals to, what is the maximum equation for Z? Is the 5x1 plus 3x2. So putting this value in 5x1 plus 3x2, that is 5 multiplied by 20 upon 19 plus 3 multiplied by 45 upon 90. So putting all these values and then find the calculation, we find it 235 upon 90. So this is your profit maximization. And at this point, that is at point x1 is equals to 20 upon 19, and with x2 that is 45 upon 19, that will be your maximum profit. Yes, you can do the same question of simplex method with the help of graphic method, and you will find the same answer with the help of graphic method also. In the next question, in the next case study, which we will do of the simplex method once again to make you more stronger and more visible about this question. Okay, so thank you so much for today's session. Bye bye.